First thing I have to say is I have been spending almost the past 2 years traveling this country. I've spoken in Denver and San Francisco and New York and places, Miami and Chicago. I have never seen a crowd like tonight. There are teachers here, right? I love you. Well, you know, some of the folks up on the platform I've just met in the last 24 hours, Harold and Vanessa and Eric. But I have to say, California is so fortunate because, first of all, you've got the best voice for teachers in the nation, Anthony Cody. You have the world's most outstanding expert in education, Linda Darling-Hammond. You have the nation's wisest and most experienced state superintendent of education, Tom Torlakson. And you have the only governor in the nation who gives a damn about education. There's one thing that kind of disappoints me. I was hoping the mayor would be here to give me the key to the city. We all know that American public education is in crisis, but it's not the crisis that you read about. It's not the crisis that you see in movies like Waiting for Superman. It's not the crisis that's on television, in documentaries, and it's not the crisis that pundits write about, and it's certainly not the crisis that Bill Gates, Arne Duncan, and Michelle Rhee talk about. American public education is in crisis because it's under attack. It's an existential crisis. Never has there been such a sustained assault on the very survival of public education. False claims are made about achievement. False claims are made about teachers. False claims are made about what's needed to improve the schools. Miracle cures are offered that have no evidence behind them. Public education today is the target of a well-funded, well-coordinated campaign to privatize as many schools as possible. The campaign claims that it wants great teachers in every classroom, but its rhetoric demoralizes teachers. And its strategies and its methods reduce the status of the education profession. The leaders of this national movement call themselves reformers, but it's more accurate to call them corporate reformers. They want education to operate in accordance with free market principles, not as a public service, but like a business. They want parents to be consumers. They want students to be products. They want teachers and principals to be at-will employees. They want to impose simple-minded policies of carrots and sticks on educators. But this is not what great corporations do. Great corporations recruit the best people, train them well, and then they pamper them. Every year, Fortune magazine identifies the best companies in the U.S. to work for. The best companies treat their employees with respect. The best company this year offers free on-site health clinics, free childcare, car cleaning, a beauty salon, gourmet food, a state-of-the-art gymnasium. One of them even has a rock climbing wall for its employees. That's kind of like your schools, right? The best and most productive corporations are the best places to work. Remember this, teachers' working conditions are students' learning conditions. Unfortunately, the leaders of the corporate reform movement don't want our schools to function like 21st century workplaces. They don't want workplaces that are beautiful for students and for faculty, because that would cost too much. They never talk about how to make schools more creative, more exciting places for students and for their teachers. Instead, they talk about how to cut cost, whom to fire, how to cut your benefits and your pensions, how to make educators do more with less. That's called, as Secretary Duncan put it, the new normal. They belittle the people who do the daily work of teaching our children. What they have in mind is not an environment where people take joy in their work, but something like the factories of the early 20th century, where your pay is directly linked to your piecework, and the floor boss can fire anyone for any reason at all. These corporate reformers now have the upper hand for one simple reason, not because they have good ideas, and not because their ideas are based on evidence, but because they have a huge amount of money and political power. They can count on the Gates Foundation. They can count on the Broad Foundation. They can count on the Walton Family Foundation. They can count on lots of other foundations. They can count on the Wall Street hedge fund managers who belong to an organization called Democrats for Educational Reform. They can count on groups like Stand for Children, Education Reform Now, 50 State Can, Teaching First, Teach Plus, Students First, even on the United Way and others funded by the Gates Foundation, the Broad Foundation, the Dell Foundation, and all of these other foundations. They can count on the DC think tanks funded by these foundations. They can count on Fox News. They can count on the Wall Street Journal. They can count on right-wing billionaires who promote charters and vouchers and want to destroy teachers' unions. And these billionaires are active in states across this country. They can count on entrepreneurs eager to turn a profit with public funds. They can count on conservative Republican governors like Scott Walker of Wisconsin. Let's all hope that he gets soon recalled. They can count on Chris Christie of New Jersey. They can count on Rick Snyder of Michigan, who cut the public schools by $1 billion while cutting corporate taxes by $1 billion. They can count on Rick Scott of Florida. They can count on Mitch Daniels of Indiana, on John Kasich of Ohio, Tom Corbett of Pennsylvania, Bobby Jindal of Louisiana, many, many others. Unfortunately, they can also count on Secretary Arne Duncan. What they don't have on their side, however, is truth. Also, they don't have evidence. And they can't point to any success for the policies they advocate. But facts, truth, evidence, experience, and logic don't count when there's so much money and power amassed on one side of the battle. So what I plan to do this evening is to go over some of the evidence with you and to arm you with facts that you need to know to defend and support your public schools and your profession. The other side will always have more money, but we must remain firm in our conviction that you can't fool all the people all the time. character, civic responsibility, compassion, a sense of justice,